All right. This week's conversation is going to be a little different. Hello, I'm Amanda, and Toya could not make it today. So, thanking the Lord, we're going to have a special guest to continue these conversations. So, play the intro. All right. Hello, cynical one. Let me introduce, bring him up right now. I figured I was trying to think of the most controversial Black man that I know. Hello, Xavier.
Hey, what's good? What's good, Lady Amanda?
Oh, thank you for joining me for this in such short notice.
Absolutely. I wasn't doing anything.
So we have a bunch of topics tonight that I was really looking forward to discussing, and I'm kind of glad we're going to get a male perspective tonight because we're going to be talking about Andrew Tate. But
Oh, Mr. Tate.
yeah, Mr. Tate. But the first topic on our list today is deportations. Is it helping or hurting the U.S.? We're talking about the mass deportations and ICE, the crackdown on illegal immigration. Um, I know from where I'm seeing here in Texas, where Texas A&M University is in College Station, the only people that seem to be upset about it are the crazy bitch feminists. They actually, this past week, had a protest at A&M. I'm going to pull this up because I have to show you this. This is so funny. So this is the battalion. It is the Texas A&M newspaper. And check this out. This one? Yes.
International Youth and Students for Social Equality, which is the youth movement of the Socialist Equality Party.
I would just like to send the message that despite all this repression a lot of communities are facing right now.
Look at this. Crazy bitch with a fucking nose ring. Listen to what she said. Hold on, Xavier. Listen to what she says.
Now, whether it's the LGBTQ plus or the immigrants or, federal workers or whatever subsection you may be a part of, we've always existed. Minorities have always existed. Immigrants have always existed. And no one fundamentally can be called illegal on land that was stolen and genocided. So really, I think we have to, especially as white people, we really
Especially as white people. When I see that,
Yes.
I see a white guilt-ridden crazy bitch spoiled fucking feminist who's
Well, white guilt is a thing. It's a
yeah,
thing. It's a thing. It is
yeah.
a thing.
So what are your thoughts? I think the deportations are helping. I mean, ultimately it's going to help crazy bitches like her because with the gender studies degrees and all the diversity, inclusion, equity stuff being done away with, a lot of these crazy bitches are going to need jobs. Like somebody's going to have to pick the fruit and clean the things that
Yeah.
they've historically had illegals doing, right?
Oh, absolutely. Somebody's got to clean up those hole in the wall dive motels.
Right?
Um, but speaking as a blue collar guy, right?
Hmm.
I'm a blue collar dude. And where I am, the blue collar market is saturated. Okay. It's saturated with Latinos, primarily Mexicans. Now, Do I believe every single one of them is here illegally? Of course, I don't believe that, but I'm pretty sure a lot of them are. And I've been talking to brothers who run businesses like myself, and I think if it's not a good thing for America at large, it's good for brothers like myself. Because see, if you start shipping Enrique back to Mexico, what that does is it opens doors for other people.
Right.
It opens opportunities for us blue collar guys, whether you're a landscaper, whether you're a mechanic, plumber, roofer, stone mason, whatever you do, electrician or into construction. 'Cause- Because just because they go back, people aren't going to stop getting buildings built. People are not going to stop getting roofs repaired, plumbing done, electrical work. I mean, when they send Pablo back, guess what? What they're going to do is find someone else to do it. Um,
Yes.
I was actually talking to Brother SKC last week, and we were talking about, and I told him that, we've already secured 4 contracts from people who their regular guy has gone back out of fear, or they're running scared, especially here because where I live in Mecklenburg, and this is a quote unquote sanctuary city where, they
Ooh.
mess with them, right?
Yeah.
But slowly that's changing here because, of course, Trump he's threatening to, pull federal funds if you don't let him come in there and get them damn immigrants. So
Yeah.
that's changing here. You've got you got Latino business owners here who are actually selling their businesses, selling their equipment because they're scared to
Mm.
be out there in the field because of, Trump being president. And I see that as a good thing for folks like me, you know.
Yeah.
See, now we can fill in some of those gaps. So I mean, I know it bothers people, oh my God, why are you treating them this way? They haven't done anything wrong. No, coming here legally is
It's criminal.
yeah, that's wrong.
It's
So
a crime.
I mean, I don't know how good it is for America, but it's good for blue collar brothers like myself. I'll say that. So
Mm. Yeah, ICE rated Texas A&M University, and something that I wasn't aware of, there are crazy bitch feminists that work in HR departments that will actually get an illegal somebody else's social security number. So they will be working under somebody else's name.
mm.
And they found quite a few of those on campus. Like,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. They work under I know they work under, dead people's social security number. They've been doing that, forever and a day. So
mm,
and this is the crazy thing because I know that some of the immigrants, when they come here, they actually come here, on like a working visa, right? And
mhm,
so they're here legally until that visa expires. And
yeah,
because I've run into them in my travels, and they're like, "Oh, my visa expired in 2022," and it's like 2024, 2025, and they're still here. So now even they are here illegally because they've let that working visa expire. So when that expires, they're supposed to, hop back across the fence, but
yeah,
they don't do it. They stay here because number one, they're making money. I guess they, planted their feet here. They have roots here. They might have had a kid or two, whatever case may be, wife, family, all that kind of stuff. I get all of that, but not for nothing. And I'll say again, as a blue collar guy, all it's going to do for guys like us is open up opportunities because they have to start hiring someone. They're not going to sit back and wait for Enrique and Pablo, to come back from Mexico.
to hop the border again.
Yeah, they're going to put someone else in that position. And
Yeah.
in a place, in the city that I live, this is a pretty heavy black city here. I think close to 45% of the city is black. So all it's going to do is it's only going to open up opportunities for brothers. So, I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not even mad at it. That's one of the things that I don't disagree with when it comes to Donald Trump. And I'm not a Trump fan by no stretch of the imagination, but
Yeah.
I don't disagree with it. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry, Enrique, Pablo, Jimenez, all you guys. I'm sorry, but I'm not mad at Trump if he sends you back to Tijuana. I'm sorry.
Mm. Yeah, I have a client that ex-military, works in a lot of government stuff, and he was telling me that, and I was not aware of this. The reason why Mexico has been so lackadaisical on their border and trying to, haven't been keeping people out of America. He said the people that come up here and work in America and then send money back home, he said that accounts for 40% of their GDP.
Mm.
That's insane. Like,
Yep, because you got to think about the rate of exchange for,
yeah,
when you're talking about U.S. currency and Mexican currency, the rate of exchange is pretty freaking high. All
yeah.
right, pretty high. And like I said, I've spoken to guys, from south of the border, and I've heard guys tell me that they were living off of 50 cents a day.
Mhm.
All right.
Mhm.
50 cents. I can't think of anything I can buy with 50 cents.
Mm-mm. Not here.
Nothing,
Yeah.
nothing can you buy for 50 cents, especially anything to eat. All right.
Right.
You can't even buy a damn ink pen for 50
Right.
cents in America. So, I mean, I
Yeah.
see why they come here. I get it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, United States, land of opportunity. You come over here, get a job, get a house, the government will help you, all this kind of stuff. I get it. But I think well, people say this. Let me back up. People say that they do the jobs that other people don't want to do. And
Right.
I think there's some truth to that.
Yep.
Uh because I'm not trying to be anywhere shoveling cow manure. Um
Right.
I'm not being anywhere picking strawberries. So I get that part. They do all those jobs.
Yeah.
So that being the case, right? If the United States if the United States believes that, okay, these are essential jobs, we need somebody to pick the strawberries, we need somebody to shovel the cow shit. Fine.
Mm.
You take those people and you make them quote unquote essential workers or whatever. You know, give those people the quote unquote status to stay if you think they're that, essential. But you can't believe that they're that essential if you're willing to send them back. Those two
Right.
things cannot go together. I mean, if you're gonna say, okay, we need someone here to pick the strawberries, we need someone here to pick the beans and other kind of stuff, yeah, fine. Make those people essential. Who's ever not essential, send them back. But
Mm.
they're sending those people back who
Yep.
shovel a cow manure. They're sending
Yeah.
those people back who pick the strawberries and string beans and all this kind of stuff. They're sending them back. So either they're essential to this country or they're not.
Mhm.
So there is that dilemma. Um,
Mhm.
and I think he's trying to get rid of the whole birthright thing as well. So
Mhm.
that could be tough, for some of them. Um, Yeah, that could be tough because, like I said, here, a lot of these guys, especially the guys that's from Mexico and overstayed those visas, they're worried. Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're worried. They're
Yeah.
worried.
Well, they should be.
Yeah, well,
I mean, I know a few people that were pretty worried about it because they just never got around to doing their paperwork. I used to work with a girl that she was 29, I think. She had two kids. She'd been here since she was in middle school. Her and her mom came up. Her mom ended up getting married to an American dude, and they did all their paperwork, but it didn't grant her, because she was born in Mexico, it didn't grant her citizenship.
mm,
So as she got old, she went through the school system here, And then in high school, she had the love of her life. They got married. She had children. But fast forward another 10 years, like she never got around to doing her paperwork because I guess because she married an American, it didn't matter. Like you
Mhm.
weren't, you had to do paperwork to get that American status. And she never, just never did. So she was all worried. I'm like, clock's ticking. You better get this shit done before Trump wins. Like,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
mm,
And I talk about this stuff, right? And my wife was like, "Oh, that's wrong. Oh, why you think like that?" Because I say this shit to my wife. I'm like, "Yeah, they sent Enrique back. God damn it! All that's gonna do is open up opportunities for us." And my
yeah,
wife was like, "Oh, yeah, that's wrong." So, no, I didn't bring them over here, nor
right,
am I sending them back. So, I mean, how am I wrong? I mean, I'm not the one doing it. I
right.
mean, and the crazy thing is that here lately, I've actually seen it in my travels because I'm on the road a lot. We're on the road a lot, and I haven't been seeing the activity that I normally would see. I you can kind of see it. I don't know if a lot of them have been shipped back already, but the
Hmm.
fear, or maybe the fear of being shipped back,
They're
is
hiding.
starting to. Yeah, I mean, you can kind of see the difference here.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't feel bad about this because see, I'm not this freaking advocate. Like, I like what works for me and mine. All right.
Hmm.
And when it comes to this type of stuff, and I happen to be in a field where I'm in direct competition, with the immigrants, and I'm in direct competition with them.
Hmm.
So, I mean, if the competition, shaves down a little bit,
Right.
why why would I be upset?
Yeah.
Why would I? So,
Also, them being here and competing with you, and them willing to take less money just because
yes,
it's way more than they would make. Like,
yes.
I had this big pond project going on, and somebody told me I could like drive by this gas station, and there's Mexican dudes out there just waiting to be picked up for work. And the guy's like, "Oh yeah, only pay them $10 an hour." I'm like, "Dude, like the shit we're doing, we're moving rocks, we're digging, we're doing a lot of stuff." And like why not like more like 15? And the guys were ecstatic. I
Yeah.
mean, there was a guy that was a fucking doctor helping me move rocks in my backyard, like
Wow.
making
Wow.
$15 an hour, but it's more than he makes as a doctor back in Mexico.
Hell yeah. Hell
Yeah.
yeah. Probably only
But
makes
them being
$15 a
here,
month.
right? But them being here drives the market down. Like
Mhm.
that means you're in competition, and to compete with them, you would have to drop your prices lower.
Oh, absolutely. And
Yeah.
I've had people ask me, um, how come, we don't hire, you know, Latinos, and because if you drive by some of these community centers, especially the Latino community centers, there's 30, 40, Mexican guys standing out there, waiting for somebody to come by with a truck, and they'll jump on the back of the truck and go to work. I
Yep.
don't do that. Because number one, I don't want to take the chance of losing my shit. Because if they find out that you're doing it, you're screwed. Okay. They're
Mm,
gonna slam you. All
right.
right. They're gonna fine you. They're gonna, try to fuck with your business license and all this kind of nonsense. So I
Yep.
don't do it. All right. And also I don't do it because if I was to start bringing these Latinos on, especially undocumented. Now, if you're
Yeah.
a Latino and you're here legally, I might take a chance on you and hire you. But if you somebody who hopped the fence, all
Yeah.
right. And you don't gotta, because to come work for us, you gotta have a social security card, you gotta have birth certificate, all that, because my business is real. All right.
Yeah.
So I need to enter you into my system. All right. So you gotta have all that, a real birth certificate. All right. You can't be this Latino guy, but somehow your name is Jeffrey Smith. Like, no, 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 no.
Right.
No, 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 that's not your name. That's not your
Right.
social security card, sir. All right. Your name isn't freaking Gregory Brown. Get the hell out of here. So,
Right.
that kind of stuff I don't do because, like I said, I don't want my business to be jeopardized. All right. And I don't want to be known for that. I don't want to be known for the guy who pulls up in front of the community center and just throw a bunch of Mexicans on the back of his freaking truck. So, because my name is on my business. So it matters how it looks, how it's perceived, and how we operate. So I don't even hire those Mexicans dudes. Now, mind you, I've been tempted to do it, because some jobs are so big that I can use another 3, 4 guys. All right.
Mhm.
And good help is hard to find.
Mhm. And
And
they work their asses off.
oh,
Holy
absolutely.
shit.
I totally
Like,
agree. I see them out there, and I know they're hard workers and all that kind of stuff. And you can pay them $5 an hour and all this kind of stuff. But no, all right, because all you're doing is asking for problems. And here, a lot of people share my point of view because many of the people who hire these Latinos are Latinos themselves.
mhm,
All right, you don't see a lot of white guys, black guys hiring 'em. You see some, but most of the people who hire the Latinos are Latinos themselves. So there is that because you can get your businessman can take a hit. If they find them out there working with you and they out there with a bogus social security card,
mhm.
bogus birth certificate, bogus name, all that kind of stuff. I mean that stuff can really hurt you, down the road. So I stay away from that shit, man. Totally. I don't hire no Mexicans or none of that shit. Like I said, if one come to me and they got a real birth certificate and a real, freaking social security card, I may consider it. But other than that, nah, I'm not trying to hire no fucking guys that hop the fence and shit. No.
Yeah.
Uh-uh. Uh-uh. No. Can't do it.
Yeah.
Can't do it. Absolutely not.
Well, is there any closing thoughts that you have about this topic before we move on to the next one? I've said
Um,
all I had to say.
I'll say this
Mhm,
to the Latino people who are here legally. You did the right thing, so you don't have anything to worry about. The people who came here illegally, you did the wrong thing. So worry like hell.
right.
that is all.
That is
That's all.
all.
Yeah, that is
All
all.
right. Xavier, do you think the people in our government are too old?
Absolutely, I do. I
Really?
think I think the average age in Congress is what 65 or something like that. The average age in the Senate is something close to that. I mean, I think that's why, but we got a president that's like 80. So the last president was like 80. I think
Yeah.
I think government is way too old because you got to think a lot of these people who are in government right now, right?
Mhm.
They've been there for 30 years,
Mm,
35 years,
mhm.
40 years. Times have changed in 30 years, but
Mhm.
they're still governing like it's 30 years ago. I think that is the problem.
Mm.
I think some of these old folks, because I mean, you got people who are in the Senate and Congress riding around on hover rounds. All right. They're
Right.
they're riding around on motorized wheelchairs, and not
Mhm.
because they've been injured. They're riding around on hover rounds because they're 90,
Yeah.
because they're 80. And I just don't think, now don't get me wrong. I know older people are full of wisdom, experience and all this kind of stuff. I get it. But that's for sitting around the campfire with your grandchildren to be
Yes.
sharing that wisdom and experience, not
Yes.
sitting at the pinnacles of power,
Right.
legislating and making laws. Because, see, you came here 40 years ago,
Yeah.
so you can't even relate to a 35-year-old U.S. citizen at this point.
Right.
At this point, you can't even relate to a 35-year-old freaking citizen at this point. I just don't think it's possible. But I mean, that's the government that we have. Would it be better if people in government were younger? Uh, it may or may not be better, but it would be different. I think.
Mm.
Yeah, it would be different because as a younger person, you have a different state of mind, especially when you're talking about generations. I mean, like I said, some of these people, man, I think, let me see, I was looking at this before. The average age of the Congress, I believe, is 60. That's the average age of people in Congress. You got people, like I said, here and there, man, with motorized wheelchairs. All
Mhm.
right. These people have been in office longer than millennials have been alive. All right. They came
Mhm.
into office before millennials were born. So if they're legislating these things, they're legislating from 40 years ago.
Mhm.
That's why government is so jammed up, because you got all these senior citizens walking around in there, writing laws and creating legislation that's dated. It's
Mm.
dated. It's very dated. Because see,
Mm.
what I think these old folks don't do, and don't get me wrong, I have a lot of respect for older folks, but
Mhm.
I think they don't want to give up power. They don't want to
Right.
get out the way and let some fresh eyes look at these things. I think that's what it is. They've been there so long that they just want to stay. All right. They want to continue to oversee the kingdom, if you will, even though they probably got dementia. You know, you 80
Mhm.
years old, you might be creeping up on dementia. So I don't want a person with dementia writing laws. All right. I don't want a person who's in a motorized wheelchair deciding the fate of the country. Just I don't like I said, the same with the presidency. All right. I mean, I don't know if I want an 80-year-old guy up there running things,
Mm.
whether it's a Trump or anybody else. All right. You're 80 years old. You think I would let an 80-year-old person get inside one of my damn trucks and drive it to a job? You think I would have an 80-year-old person operating a piece of my heavy equipment? Absolutely
Mhm.
not, I wouldn't. But an 80-year-old person can run the country, or 80-year-old person can be a senator, an 80-year-old person can be a congressperson. I think that's way more important than running my freaking skid steer, right? And
Mhm.
I wouldn't let an 85-year-old man couldn't come to my shop and be like, "Hey X, I want to be your skid steer operator." I'd be
Right.
like, no disrespect, old timer, but I don't think so. I don't think
Right.
so. So if I wouldn't let an 85-year-old man run my skid steer, why is an 80-year-old person writing laws or running this country? That's all.
Mm.
That's the question I ask. I'm sorry.
Mm. No, that's interesting because when I look at our government, I don't think the age thing is the issue. I think it's the
No?
sex thing. No, I think it's the sex thing. Like, let me pull up this because these are young people, mind
Okay.
you. These are young people. Like, look at these crazy bitches. They're not
Aha.
80. These aren't 80-year-olds. These are yeah. I mean, how old is AOC? Youngest black, I mean, a lot of these are like the youngest whatever. Let me make this bigger. Bento box queen, mommy of the century, sleep deprived.
Mm.
She looks young. AOC, New York's 14th congressional district, youngest woman plus Latino to be elected to the House. Rep. Lauren Underwood, youngest Black woman elected to Congress. Like, this is the problem. Oh, okay, we have an older bitch right here. She's kind of older.
Yeah.
But this is the problem that I see, because you can say, "Oh, yeah, these these people are young," but look at this one.
Well, being a lunatic has nothing to do with age. Has nothing to do with age, being a
I
lunatic.
mean, I remember seeing Nancy Pelosi there, and then I remember seeing that one crazy bitch with like the Karen haircut with the blue. I remember seeing her,
Well,
but
the thing with, I mean, of course, age is a problem, and I agree with you. I think there's too many women in government. Also, I think there's way too many of them there. Because when you got a lot of women involved, you get these, whack job policies coming down
yes,
coming down the pipe. So
socialist and communist
yes,
policies.
yes, these policies that come down the freaking pipe are kind of insane. So that's an element of it too.
Mm,
Um, because what happens is they interject these crazy things and they work their way into the metabolism of government. So
yeah.
you have that as well. Combine that with, combine the young lunatics with the people who've been in Congress longer than these people have been alive. I mean, it's just a
Hmm.
recipe for a disaster. You got a bunch of
Now,
crazy, you got a bunch of old crazy old people with dementia and a bunch of young lunatics running
well,
things.
and I see the old people in there being a problem because I don't think they can properly defend themselves from the young crazies.
No.
Like they're able to really manipulate them.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, look at Joe Biden, his presidency. Like that poor man was being strung along by these crazy bitch feminists for years. They used him as a what did the crazy bitches in the black community say? Bullet bag.
Oh,
They
bullet.
used that man as a fucking shield for all the fuckery that they were doing, and they just strung him along. They abused that man, and they were able to manipulate things to get their way on everything.
Well, it's easy to do because you got to think about when I was younger, right?
Hmm.
I'm just gonna it's story time, y'all. Story time.
All right,
When
let's
I
see.
when I when I was younger, my maternal grandmother moved in with us. My mom's mother moved in with us, after, my grandfather died. She came and she moved in with us, right? So
Hmm.
now we got granny living with us. And, you go to your mom and you be like, mom, can I have some ice cream and some cookies? And she be like, no, boy, get out of here. Then mom goes to work. Now you're
Yeah,
there with granny. You
yeah,
go to granny, you be like, oh, granny, I want some ice cream and cookies. Guess what happens? Granny
yep,
gives it to you. So
yep,
I mean, it's sort of like that, right? The
yes,
younger the younger people can kind of influence the older people. That's why I say the older people are somewhat of a problem
yeah,
because they can be, like you said, they can be manipulated by those younger, members of
yeah,
Congress. Especially when they're all in the same party because
right.
it's easy for the young people to jump up and hoop and shout and act a fool and change the old folks' mind. Just like
Hmm.
you can, manipulate your grandma. It's the same
Yeah.
thing. And see a lot of those older people happen to be women. So they just treat
Mhm.
them like grandma and ask them for cookies and cake, and grandma say, okay. That's
Mhm.
it. That's what's going on.
Yeah,
At
yeah,
least that's what I
definitely.
believe.
I can't understand when I see some of these crazy bitches. I can't even imagine who voted for them because they're there year after year after year after year. Like Nancy Pelosi, like holy shit, she's been in the government for decades. Like
Yeah.
who actually voted for her?
And she's still there walking around in freaking the halls of Congress on like a walker now because she's like 80 something, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
she's like in her 80s. And I mean, what I think is people get stuck on things,
Mm,
and they get stuck on something, so they're just checking the boxes now. Okay, Nancy Pelosi. Okay, so every election cycle, they're just checking that same box because they're so used to doing it. The lady's been there for 30, 40 years. Of course, they're used to doing it. You know,
yeah.
she's been there all this time. And what I think often happens, number one, people don't want to primary these older people, from their side of the aisle. I guess they see that as some type of disrespect or something. And
Mm,
usually when a person's been in Congress for 30 years, 40 years, there's not really anybody who's there that's going to challenge them uh from their party or another party. A lot of these people, man, what people don't know about some of these people in Congress, man, they go to election uncontested. A lot of them they
mm,
win by freaking default because
mm,
there's no one running against them on the other
right,
side. And if it is, it's some freaking candidate that you never heard of before,
right.
and they get like 500 votes,
y-
in a city of 1.1 million, they get 500 votes. So they
Right.
don't stand a chance in hell of winning. They don't. So these
Yeah.
old people can sit back, collect that congressional check for 30, 40 years and do nothing in those
Mm,
30 and 40 years. The only thing they can refer back to is stuff they did 20 years ago, 15 years ago. Ask them
right.
what they're doing now, except passing legislation for stupid shit like being able to wear your own hair and nonsense like that. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
They haven't legislated anything that anybody can look at and remember. All right. They don't even remember it because they're 80. They have Alzheimer's. They
Right.
don't remember it. Okay. They have Alzheimer's.
Yeah.
But this is who we have in our government. So there you
Yeah.
have it.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. We should. I mean, it's nice to see there's some shifting. There's some younger guys really getting in there. I've primarily focused on the guys because I'm like, women don't fucking belong there. When I see all these fucking whores in our government, half of them have half naked pictures all over the internet. Like Kim Klacik is a perfect example of one that conservatives are like, "Ooh, yay, here's a really Republican blah blah blah." But I'm like, that crazy bitch is just a whore. Like
Ah,
she has no business being in our government. So
yeah,
I ignore them and I kind of pay attention to the young dudes coming in. I mean, JD Vance, he's what, the youngest vice president we've had in probably forever. Or
yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
he's 40, so they're getting some new young masculine blood in our government, which is lovely to see.
Yeah, I believe, me personally, I believe it's a lack of interest. Younger people aren't running for these seats. They're not running for, a seat in Congress. They're not running to be a senator. They're not. I mean, it's like crazy because what's that senator name? Grassley, Chuck Grassley.
Hmm.
That man is 90. I believe Chuck Grassley is 90 or 91 years old. That man is
Jesus.
90. Come on, man. 90 years old. You know where you should be? On your little bass boat on the lake
Yeah.
fishing for largemouth bass. Cause if,
Right.
cause if
Surrounded
I'm not,
by great
yes,
grandsons.
yeah, you got your great nephews and great grandsons, y'all on there. Cause let me tell you something. I live to be 90 years old. I ain't doing shit.
Right.
Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Except fishing on my little boat. That's about all I'm gonna do all day.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being 90 working somewhere. I couldn't imagine it, you know, especially all the freaking liquor and scotch and whiskey that I've drunk in my lifetime, and the millions of cigars I've smoked. I probably won't be in any shape to do anything when I'm 90 any freaking way. So the only thing I would be able to do is probably fish on my damn bass boat, man. I just couldn't imagine being, doing anything of any consequence at 90. Yeah, Chuck Grassley is like 90 years old, man.
Mm.
Jesus Christ, man. That's just too old to be doing anything. Like I said, I would not let a 90-year-old man run my skid steer. I wouldn't. I
Yeah.
don't care. I don't care if he tells me he's been doing it for 50 years. I'm like, yeah, I might have would have hired you 50 years ago. But no. You're 90 years old. You ain't operating shit of mine. Absolutely not. I don't even want you driving my truck at 90.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wouldn't even trust you operate my vehicle. So why the hell do you have a seat in Congress?
Mm.
I don't get it.
Yeah.
I don't get it, man. I just
Yeah, I like it. All right, get all the old people out of government and get all the women out of government, and it should be a lot better, right?
yeah. Yeah. You'll see a swift change and you'll see some of these dumbass laws that we don't like, you'll see them disappear. But then again,
Yeah.
we also have to have a president who is an 80 as well. All right.
See, when I look at Trump, though, he doesn't. I mean, he is like cognitively, he's there still. Like like put him next to Biden, and there's a huge difference. I mean, there are people in our society that definitely stay with it longer. Um,
Yeah, there is
and I,
that. But when you talk about the president, right? The
hmm
president has people behind him. You
yes,
know, they're feeding him talking points. They're advising him. They're telling him what to say, what not to say. So I think a lot of it, especially when you talk about the presidency itself, there's a lot more that, behind that office. There's
yeah,
other people because, like they always say, it's not always about being the man. Sometimes it's about being the man behind the man. And
mm,
I think that has a lot to do with it. I think the president can respond to it better if he's a little more, there cognitively.
hmm
Um, I think with Biden, he also probably had a bunch of people, in his ear and telling him stuff. But I just think he wasn't able to, grab onto it because of what was going on, with him, mentally. You
yeah,
know, I think maybe Trump may have a better grasp on it because I guess he's there more cognitively for
yeah,
whatever reason. I never look at the president as this one unilateral person who's pulling all the strings. No,
right.
there's people behind him telling him shit and advising him about
Oh
shit
yes,
as well. Now, whether or
yeah,
not he's listening to them is something different. But I'm pretty sure there's a gang of people in the president's ear, man. You
yeah,
know, they're there. Even if you don't see them,
definitely,
they're there. They are there.
yeah. UFO kamikaze said, "I think staying in power as much as possible eases their fears of retribution."
He's
Yeah,
right.
there's a lot of people
He's right.
really trying to grasp. Yeah, I saw something that happened and I shared it on my channel. Like there's a chick that got fired. Gwendolyn or Gwenin Gwenin Cox? Yeah, let me show her picture just because it's in line with this. This crazy bitch was fired, right? She was confirmed by Senate in 2023 for a second term ending August. Miss Wilcox previously served as a member, blah, 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 blah. Miss Wilcox is the first Black woman to serve on board since its inception. Okay. She was given an award, law firm, corporations, academic institutions that has demonstrated leadership and a commitment to advancing diversity, equity, and inclusion in the legal profession. So this is this crazy bitch's job, right? So she got fired, like all a bunch of the other diversity hires and people that pushed that agenda. And guess what else happened? This judge apparently reinstated her. Let me pull up ABC News. That's where I saw that. There's a judge that apparently reinstated her. So how in the hell can that happen? Now these are old people. Both of these are fucking old people. I would put them in the category. Like, cause what is the judge thing? Is there term limits on judges? Are judges
I guess it depends on what level of judge they are, because some judges actually have to run for election. They're
Okay.
not all appointed. Some are appointed, but some actually have to, run every few years. It all depends on what type of judge they are. I think judges on the federal level, once they're in there, they can like die in the chair. Those are other people who are like way too freaking old that sitting on the bench deciding these life-changing decisions, and they're like 97 sitting up there. Like
Yeah.
I think we need some youth in that damn Supreme Court as well.
Yeah. Well, I mean, this is a U.S. district judge that reinstated this said diversity hire employee.
Mm.
Like a district judge is.
I think district judges are elected. I do believe.
Mm,
I do believe. I think only those federal judges are the ones. I think they're the only ones that are lifetime. Once they're in there, like I said, they can die in the damn. They can die right on the bench. They
right.
can die right there on the bench. But I think it depends on what jurisdiction they is, what jurisdiction they're in. But I
Mm,
know I do believe that district judges are elected. They're they have to run for office like every 2 years, 4 years, 6 years. If they're a district judge, they
hmm
definitely have to. Yeah, they definitely have to run for reelection. Yeah, I do believe. I do
Yeah,
believe.
but this crazy bitch judge ruled that that member of federal labor agency who had been removed by President Trump without cause, but clearly she was in violation. She was a diversity hire, and that's all
Mm.
that she did. So I don't understand how these crazy bitches are trying to get away with this stuff.
We'll see if it was a different judge who had jurisdiction over that case, it may not have turned out that way, because a lot of these judges, they are they are advocates,
Mm,
you know. Some of them are advocates, and they're in a position of power, so they can do things that not only do the population at large disagree with, they can do things that are unprecedented because they
and
have,
illegal.
yeah, because they have power. I mean,
Yeah.
judges have power, you know, and depending on what type of judge you get, because I'm a true believer that personnel is policy. Most of the time, I've always said that. So a lot of people bring their politics into those jobs. And when you're talking about a judge, that person's supposed to be impartial, right? They're supposed to
Yep.
be neutral. They're supposed to weigh the argument of each side.
Yep.
I don't think their politics or their personal preference or even who they vote for when they go into the voting booth, it's not supposed to have anything to do with anything. But often that's not the case, because I say
Right.
again, personnel is policy. So however they think, they have a tendency to bring that to the job with them, and I think it affects their decisions.
Mm,
So there is that. Um but a lot of these things that Trump's doing is going to get turned over. A lot of them are, because a lot of them are being challenged, and a lot of them are going to continue to be challenged. Uh, I believe that Trump, he's too old to be goddamn president too, because he's like 80. Yeah, he's too old. He's too
yeah.
old. And I'm not saying it because I'm not a fan of Trump, because I'm not a fan of Trump. I wasn't a fan of Obama. I wasn't a fan of Biden. But I just think he's too old. I think he's too freaking old. Now he's only been in office, a couple of months, so we'll see what he's gonna do. But
Yeah.
4 years from now, I'll still be saying, man, Trump's too old.
Yeah.
I'll still be saying it. All
Yep.
right. And I'll
Yeah.
be saying it about the next person that comes in and they're like 75, they're 80 years old. They're too freaking old, man, to be running shit.
Yeah.
All right. They're too old. They just are, man. I don't know. I don't know. I, th-
Well,
I think they should cut it at 60. All right. If
60. Okay.
if you're over 60, get the hell out. That should be a
Yeah.
rule. You can't run anymore. You're too damn old.
Okay. Well, Andrew Tate. I've heard him talk about maybe running for prime minister of the UK before. I don't know if that's even possible, but he's not too old, right? Should he go into politics?
Um, Andrew, from what I know of him,
Yeah, yeah.
uh,
Let's talk about Andrew Tate. Is he a
I don't,
villain or a victim? Dun,
I
dun,
don't know if he would
dun.
be a good president. Um, but one thing I can say about Andrew Tate, from what I've seen, because it's not
Mhm.
like I'm familiar with the guy, I only can go by the shit I've seen on the internet. It seems like to me, people aren't that upset with what, you know, what Andrew Tate is allegedly. Because allegedly he did all these things, when he was in Romania, they say he's a trafficker of women and all this kind of stuff. I think what bothers them the most about Andrew Tate is number one, he'll say whatever.
Mhm.
Number two, his outlook on women and how vocal he is about it. I think that bothers them more than anything else. I don't think they really care about the alleged criminal acts that he's done because see, people don't care about the act itself. They're more concerned with you talking about it. For instance, when I was live streaming, which I haven't done in quite some time, but when I was live streaming, I would talk about, kids being hurt, kids being touched, stuff like that. And I would
Mhm.
get heat from that shit because
Mhm.
I was talking about it. Because see,
Mhm.
it's almost as if speaking about an act is worse than the act.
Or
Because
worse than allowing somebody to do that to your fucking children. The mothers
yes,
get upset about that too.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, all right. Because I used to get heat because of the things I talked about. But I'm pretty sure these people didn't give these people who've done this shit this heat. They don't like when you talk about crime, when you talk about murders in some of these inner cities, because they think talking about the murder is somehow worse than the murder, which
Right.
doesn't make any sense
Right.
whatsoever. And I think that's what Andrew Tate is facing. All right. They're not concerned about what this man has allegedly done. They don't like the way he talks. They don't
Mhm.
like the shit he says. And he does talk a lot about, the subjugating women and putting them in their place and them being second class citizens and all that kind of stuff. He's very vocal about that kind of stuff. At least he was from what I've seen from him.
Mm.
Um, I know he's back in the United States now,
Yeah.
and I know I had seen a news clip where they're opening an investigation
Florida,
into
right?
him. Yeah, they're opening an investigation, and the
For
man's only the
what?
man's only been here 2 weeks.
Yes. It's because he's been very vocal about feminism and the
Mhm.
crazy bitches. Like, they hate it. They have been trying to gag that man, and he refuses to be gagged and castrated by the feminist cult. And that's what I
Yeah,
love about him
yeah.
because he is out there speaking the things, and the
Well,
feminists fucking hate it.
you know what their problem is that he's an outspoken guy, he's loud,
Mhm.
he's boisterous, you could even call him belligerent or whatever.
Mhm.
And what they believe is that Andrew Tate has a lot of influence over younger men. And God
Yes.
and God forbid if young men start taking on, the Andrew Tate frame of mind. And I
Right.
think that that's where the fear lies. They
Mm.
are afraid that he would have an effect on all this matriarchal gynocracy nonsense. All right. Because men are changing. Okay. You can see it. I mean, you
Yes.
look online, look how the women talk about men. Oh my God, men don't want to date us. Oh my God, men don't
Right.
want to take us out. Oh, I can't get a date. I can't do this. I can't do that. I think it's
Yes.
wonderful. I think it's wonderful because I see that men are waking up.
Yeah.
Men are discovering their worth. and men are starting to realize the shit that they don't have to put up with. I think it's
Mm.
a good thing,
Yeah.
especially for young men. All right. Long gone are the days where men just sit around and placate the women all day long, pander to women all day long, kiss women's ass all day long. I think those days are behind us.
Yep. Me
And
too.
yeah, and people like Tate, I'll say this about Tate. I think he is a representation of that. And I
Hmm.
think that's that has allowed people to turn him into this big bad boogeyman because
Yeah.
he is a representation of that. He's a representation of men just saying whatever, you know,
Hmm.
fuck these women. I
Hmm.
think he's a representation of that. So I think that's what bothers people more than anything else because they can't really point to anything that the man has done per se. I mean,
Right.
even if you want to go to whatever alleged things he's done in Romania. I mean, if they had so much on him, how was he able to leave from there and come here? If he's done so much shit over there,
Yeah.
how the hell was he allowed to get on a plane and fly to America? He'd
Hmm.
still be there, right? He'd still
Yep.
be there, locked in a cage, no bond, not able to leave. If he's done so much horrible stuff, why aren't they able to hold him? Because guess what? If he had done half of the shit in America that they claim he's done over there, his ass would be in jail.
Hmm.
He'd be in jail. I mean, a prime example, Puff Daddy and R. Kelly.
Mm.
All right,
Hmm.
they're in jail because they allegedly they did all this horrible shit. So guess what? They're in a 6x9. All right, three hots and a cot. But somehow Andrew Tate is free.
Hmm.
So I mean, it is what it is. And what I think happens, especially when you talk about media and shit, they always will make somebody into the boogeyman.
Yep.
They're going to make them into a boogeyman, especially somebody like Andrew Tate, the shit he says, the way he talks, because he's all over the place. You've seen him, interviewing with some of the biggest quote unquote interviewers around. You've
Hmm.
seen it. He's
Yeah.
all over the place, you
Hmm.
know, and he's very vocal about his shit. So of course they want to turn him into a boogeyman because he's popular.
Yep.
Because see me,
So
I could say the same shit he says. No one would care because I'm nobody.
yeah. But also, I think a part of it, that they're just, he's one that never submitted to the tyrannical matriarchy.
Yep.
So, and they can't get him.
Nope.
And that's kind of how I compare like what he's been through and what Trump went through with the his opposition weaponizing the DOJ against him. Like
Hmm.
these crazy bitches use this government to try to shut men up,
Yes.
and he's been getting away. So
See.
I'm just
See.
glad he never gave up. Like there's a lot of people that probably would have like stopped talking
Yeah.
because just the threat of something happening. People
Yeah.
do it every fucking day. People go to their jobs, like men at work refuse to fucking speak their mind because they're worried about the consequences. And here he
Yes.
goes bulldozing through fucking all of them. I love it.
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah.
mean, because especially I don't know how it is in Romania where he was, but in this country, you're allowed to have free speech as long as who you're speaking to agrees with you. Once they disagree with you, you no longer can have free speech. See, that's the
Mm,
caveat to the
mm,
whole thing, especially when you're
yeah.
talking about mainstream media or government or the freaking gynocracy or
Hmm.
the gaggle of women in the so-called sisterhood, if you will. I mean,
Hmm.
you're allowed. See, they're allowed to say whatever they want. They
Hmm.
don't care.
Right.
They don't care if it offends you or you disagree with it. They don't care about any of that. But on the
Yeah.
other side of that, if you happen to be saying something that they disagree with or offends them or whatever, you should be taken off your platform. You shouldn't have a
Hmm.
show anymore. No one
Mhm.
should interview you. You shouldn't be invited on any of these talk shows because, see, you say things that I don't like. So
Mhm.
your free speech right is revoked
Right.
until you start saying things that I like and or agree with. Your free speech card is revoked. But
Mhm.
we see that here. We see
Mhm.
stuff like that here, right here on YouTube.
Oh,
Um,
yes. Big time.
yes, because many of people have been taken down because of the things they've said. They haven't
Mhm.
shot anyone, they haven't killed anyone, they haven't beaten anyone, they haven't done any of that. The only thing they've done is offended
Yep.
someone or a
Yep.
group of
Yep.
someone's. That's all it takes. And most of those people who get kicked out, guess what freaking gender they are? Men.
Men. Yes. Like, I think as far as online group identities go, I think the MGTOW community has been hit the hardest when it comes to that shit. I
Oh,
mean, there's so
absolutely.
many men that are on so many channels because they refuse to give up. Like,
Yes.
absolutely refuse to give up. They're like, okay, I'll make another one, like, and start over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Especially like straight white men's voices have been stifled for decades, for sure.
oh yeah. Oh yeah, man. And you ladies can say whatever you want up here for the most
Oh,
part.
yes.
Takes a lot to get a woman
I
kicked
know.
off of here. It takes a
Well,
lot.
you know what I noticed it takes? It takes a lot of background stuff because the way
Yes.
toxic feminine nature works, it's like, I don't like you associating with that person online. I'm going to get with my crazy bitch friends and we're going to go convince that person not to talk to you anymore.
Yes.
Like, that's
Yes.
how
It
that
takes a
shit
lot.
works.
It
Because
takes a lot.
you can't hit that report button and say anything about what I say online. I'm a woman.
Yeah.
Like, the report button doesn't work on me. It works on men. You have to go behind the scenes and cancel behind the scenes to get anywhere. But
Well, I'm hoping that things are changing, at least in the
yes.
world. I mean, I don't think that media is ever going to change. I guess it's got a lot to do with who's in
Goo-
charge of whatever particular media space. I think that has a lot to
Google
do with it.
Google just joined. They just started removing feminist language off their platforms.
Mhm.
Google joined the rest of them. So if Google, and they're getting rid of their diversity, inclusion, equity policies. So they're kind of following what Meta did, and Meta followed what Elon did with X. But if Google's doing that, YouTube is getting freed up because YouTube is Google, right?
Yes, it is.
Okay, as soon as they remove that fucking report button, or
Yeah.
just shrink the list of how many how many ways crazy bitches can complain about their feelings being hurt. Like, I think they should reduce it to like actual crimes. Like, say it's child pornography,
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
should be the only thing. I can't think of anything else
Yeah, you shouldn't kick
that
people off
shouldn't.
because someone got their feelings hurt. I mean,
Yeah,
come on, man. You know,
yeah,
hurting feelings isn't criminal, you
yeah.
know, because if well, America is sort of a gynocracy, so there is that.
Mm,
So,
yeah.
we must protect the women at all costs, even from themselves in most cases.
We
Um,
should protect the women from
yeah.
themselves.
So, but I believe in meritocracy, right?
Mhm.
So the whole DEI thing is kind of strange to me. Um,
Yeah,
I don't think someone should be put in because they're a woman, put in because they're black, put in because they're Latino, whatever case may be.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think you should be put in there because you're the best person for the occupation. You're the best person
Okay.
for the job. You
Yeah,
know, I shouldn't look at these people and see all these candidates. There's one qualified white person, there's one qualified Latino person, there's one qualified Asian person, one qualified black person.
yeah.
Um, I'm not gonna even me being a black man, I'm not gonna pick the black person just because they're black.
Right.
I'm gonna pick them because they're the best person for the job. You
Yeah.
know, I'm not going to pick the person just because they're a woman. No. If you're a woman and you're being picked, you're the best person for the job. Because, see, you hear this equality talk, right?
Mm.
Everybody wants to be treated equally as long as it's convenient. If it's not convenient, now they want to be treated special.
Hmm.
And you can't have it both ways. You can't say, well, I want to be treated like everyone else. But when it's inconvenient for you, now you want the special treatment. I mean, those
Mm.
two things are not simpatico. You either want to be treated different or because if you're being treated different than everyone else, that is you being treated special,
Yeah.
technically. All right.
Preferential treatment, special
Yes.
privileges. It's a
Yeah.
privilege.
Yes.
Yeah.
And see people like Tate, they threaten that thing, right?
Oh, yes.
Because
They call it out.
yeah, they're one of those people who don't say, well, these people are special just because they are X, Y, and Z.
Hmm.
So I say again, they are upset with what the man represents or what they think he represents
Yeah.
because they try to make him the quote unquote de facto leader slash messiah, builder of this whole red pill thing. And he's
Hmm.
never claimed that.
No.
He's never claimed to be the leader or the messiah of whatever. That's a label that other people have put on him. And what they have done is they're forcing him to defend a position that he's never taken when they
Right.
accuse him of that. Because he's never said he was the leader of anything except whatever thing he's doing. But they've crowned him, the Prince of Red Pill,
Right.
the Prince of misogynistic material. That's kind of
Right.
what they've kind of crowned the brother. And he's forced to defend himself from that, even though that's not a position I don't listen to him enough. I know about him, but I don't follow him enough. But I've never heard that come out of his mouth where he's the leader of the red pill movement. I don't believe that he is. But the powers that be believe that, and that's
Hmm.
why they fucking with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
I believe. you know
Yeah. I agree with that.
who
I mean,
knows?
because
Maybe
he
who
he
knows?
is leading.
Maybe you ladies can get him up here one day.
Yeah, I don't know. I think see what I love seeing, like I love seeing men invite him for conversation and they have dialogue. Like
Yeah.
I feel like men need to come together and do that. That's why I was hoping you and Hammerhand could eventually have a conversation one day because I feel like you guys super aligned.
Yeah,
Um,
I remember you telling me about that a while back, and
yeah,
I think I did reach out to him at one point. I don't remember. I mean, it's been
yeah.
so like I said, I haven't done a live stream in like 3 years.
I know
So,
you quit because you
kind
just got way too much business stuff, right?
yeah, too much shit going on in my damn life, boy.
Yeah,
Just I just did not have the time. I literally did not have the time, along with um not having the interest
yeah,
that I used to have. I didn't enjoy doing it as much. And I always told people that, once I stopped liking to do it, that I was going to stop. And
yeah,
I meant it. It just so happened that, it happened around the same time that, so much other shit was going on in my life. We bought another house and then we got this other house and then all kinds of shit was going on. And along with, the kids living with me and everything else, and work and all that
yeah,
shit, it was just too much, and then the other house, it needed work, and doing that, it was over there. And in between all of that other shit going on, I still had a business to run between all that other shit. So it just wasn't in the cards anymore. I mean, the last 2 years of my life have been kind of tough. It just started to slow down recently. All right.
yeah.
It just started to slow down. So I had to stop. I wasn't interested anymore because even once it slowed down a bit, I still wasn't like, oh yeah, let me put TPOT back up. Nah, I never I never went that way. But I had talked to a couple of people, and a lot of people they saw it coming a long time ago because I had spoke to them about it early on
Yeah.
in 2022, and I was like, this will probably be, the last year I'm doing this shit, and
Yeah.
I don't regret it. Um, I don't regret it. I don't miss it. And in a way, I'm still on it because I still watch people. I still watch people. I still pop up in people's chat rooms from time to time.
Yeah.
Um, I do some watching from the clouds when I have time, so I'm still kind of here, just not in the same capacity. That's all it really is. I don't think I could ever come back to it in the same capacity again, ever.
Yeah.
Like being on screen and doing all this kind of shit and preparing for shows and all that kind of shit. I just don't think I could come back in it in the same capacity ever again.
Yeah. No, that's understand. I really do appreciate you joining for this so last minute though.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I don't mind filling in. Um would have been nice to talk to Lady Toya though. So,
Yeah.
you know,
I know
would have
she's
been
a
nice.
big fan of yours.
Yeah, her and I get along quite well, actually. We
Yeah.
get along quite well. But me, Xavier, I get along with everybody
Yeah.
except the people who hate me for some reason.
Mm.
Even though I've never done shit to them.
Crazy bitches?
But yeah, there's a few of those. There's a few of those. There's a few of
Yeah.
those. Um, because I guess they don't believe what I believe.
Mm.
Because at any given time you cannot deal with me. All you have to do is, just close your laptop. So, turn your computer off and I go away. So I've always had that frame of mind, with this media stuff that,
Mm.
when I turn this laptop off, everybody goes away. So you never
Yeah.
hear me. There's only one person online that I've ever encountered where I say I absolutely don't like them. Only one person. That's it.
Mm.
Out of all the people I've dealt with, only one person you could find a recording of me saying I don't like this person's material. Even
Yeah.
even the people that I don't even get along with or deal with. I don't talk about them. I don't make videos about them. Um, you can ask people who talk to me on the phone quite regularly. I don't talk behind their backs. I don't do none of that shit. Because even the people I don't deal with, I have enough respect for them to leave them the fuck alone.
Yeah.
So, there is that
But you
because
don't want to see them destroyed because you don't get crazy bitch infected. Other people do. They want to see them destroyed. They want them completely off the internet.
yeah, well, that's a mental thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because see, no one's forcing you to watch anyone.
Right.
No one's forcing you to watch anybody. No one's forcing you to watch Andrew Tate. No one's forcing anyone to watch The Good Mother. No one forced anybody to watch TPOT. No one forced you to do that, man. The
Yeah.
only person that's forcing you to do it is that freaking brain of yours. That's who's forcing you to do it,
Right.
forcing you to sit back and bear witness to something that you claim you hate. That's why
Right.
I call these people fans perpetrating as haters. They don't hate you. They're a goddamn fan. That's why
Yeah.
they subscribe to your channel. That's why they know any and everything you've ever said.
Yeah.
They can get right up here and repeat some shit that you said 3 years ago that bothered them. Does that sound like someone that hates you or
Yeah.
someone who pays a lot of attention to you?
Yeah.
All right. They're fans perpetrating as haters. Because
Mm.
because let me tell you something. I hate on people too. But guess what? I hate on them by not watching them.
Mm.
I hate on them by staying out of their comment section. I hate
Mm.
on them by staying off of their streams. I hate on them by staying out of their chat room. That's how I
Mm.
hate on them.
Mm.
That's how I hate on 'em. So it's like,
Don't give
you know,
them attention.
I see the nameless protagonist in the house. What's good with it, brother? I see you up there. I see him. He done popped up in here.
Yeah. So to the chat and the instructors on the panel. Osu. Osu? Asu?
That means something in Japanese like hello
Mm.
or something like that. I do believe something. He can he can correct me if I'm wrong.
Well, I think, sir, it's about time to wrap this up. I have some chicken to remove from the smoker.
Okay, well, thank you
Would
for
you like
inviting
to
me on.
would you
Go
like
ahead.
to give any closing thoughts on our topics tonight?
Um, I think they were good topics. I think they're
Yeah?
controversial topics, because this is controversations.
Yes.
Um, and thanks for having me on. I mean, it's not something that I do that often, but you can catch me here and there from time to time talking on people's stuff. So, you know,
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for getting me out of a bind. I don't like to be up here by myself, so
yeah, well,
I don't think conversations is even a thing if it's just one person.
yeah, well, next time that we do this, maybe, you and, Lady Toya will be here and,
Yes.
we can, I don't know, chop it up, talk about some other shit. I don't know.
Okay.
Maybe we can
Fantastic.
do that. All right. So,
Thank you so much,
yeah,
Xavier.
absolutely. Thanks for having me. Peace.
Peace. All right, that's correct. It is a positive affirmation of recognition, encouragement, and empowerment, closely translated by some as push or advance forward. Oh, I like it. I just realized you had a channel. I'm gonna have to check it out. I'm a fan of Japanese culture, so it seems to have a very, very zen feel to it. All right, everybody. That is the discussions for tonight. Thanks everybody for joining in the chat. UFO Kamikaze, Mr. Cynical One, and the nameless protagonist. Yes, I'm pretty sure I will like your content. All right, everybody. Till next week. Bye.